Hello everyone, I'm your host 2B, and this is Nethalas into the Midnight Throne. And in the previous video we had a encounter. This is encounter 3-9. So the third number, the 3 that I wrote down, is on this combat encounter table. It was a d6 that we rolled, was a 3, 9. There you go. Visible. So on the encounter table here on page 119, we have the number 3 goes into table A. And we look up monster 9. It's a cavebound Leech. Cavebound Leech. And the Leech is described right here. And I will go through what this is in all the rules. But first, let's immerse ourselves with this creature, what it is and what it does. The slimy, segmented body of a cave-bound lich stretches for several meters with a glistening mucus-covered exoskeleton that allows it to move effortlessly through the underground passages. Its elongated, razor-sharp teeth line its gaping maw, capable of piercing through even the sturdiest of armor. When disturbed, the cave-bound lich lies in wait, coiled like a nightmare serpent, ready to strike with a lightning speed, and constricts its victim with a suffocating embrace, while at the same time attempting to devour them with its terrible jaw. It is nothing more than a gigantic, icky leech, leech kind of serpent. Let's go through the list here. What we're seeing, we have here a type, an animal. There are certain effects in the game that points to our to what type of animal or type of creature this is. Usually I've seen this happening in Growing Darkness. That doesn't exist right now in the game, so we don't have to focus too much on it. The number, this is the amount of encounters that we face right now. For instance, if we have on page 130, the next one, we have the bone spiders. We always encounter 3 bone spiders right here. This is only 1. The awareness, this is a check that you'll be doing with a d100. If you roll equal or lower, then this monster is aware of you. If it rolls higher, then it isn't aware of you. And the same for endurance and athletics, that are their skills. And whenever the game requests you to roll for them on that particular number, then those numbers are right there. And of course, if you roll higher than the value, then they fail. If you roll lower, they succeed. Here's their health. One of the things I do is use a very simple, straightforward d6. Here we have the hit chance, or the hit location. It's a serpentoid, so right here we have our serpentoid right here. I've already marked it with number 1, so its body part right here, its hit location is its head, and this means that this is its critical hit location, so that if we roll a 18 or 20 on the d20, then we'll deal a critical hit on this creature. Sadly enough, our growing darkness effect, or our overseer effect on this dungeon, caused us not to be able to roll criticals. At least we roll criticals, but enemies are immune to them, which sucks. Over here we have armor. It says +1, its full body, and 1 through 17, this is its body, so it has here 1 defense. I kind of doubt here if it really means its entire body, its full body, or like every body part specifically, and it's difficult to gather this. I would say that this creature, because it says its full body, 1 through 17 is its full body, but its head isn't armored. This is something you have to figure out, and this is also the reason why I go through each and every piece right now to see what is it doing and how does it work. And sometimes you have to go through rules to figure it out a little bit. This is my interpretation of it, so this is why I write down here 1 defense on its entire body or its full body. Otherwise, we would have said, all body parts. Combat skill is 30. This monster will roll a d100, and if it rolls equal or lower, I have to laugh about this, but you will understand later why it's a fumble. But if it rolls 30 or lower or below its combat skill, then it is going to then it performs an attack, and we'll see how that works. Magic resistance, that if we deal something magical or something magical happens to this creature, then magical resistance is rolled, and if it rolls equal or lower than its magic resistance, then all the damage is halved. Spoils, the resource table. This is where we gain 1 resource for defeating this encounter. I do think, and I'm not exactly sure in rules, but it's actually pretty good that we have the bone spiders right here. The bone spiders, there are 3 encounters, 3 of them. So I would say if you kill 3 bone spiders, for each you get a spoil roll. About the resource table, by the way, with all these tables, all these sheets right here, the resource table is not on these sheets right here, if you print them. At least I haven't found it. So you have to scroll back to page 204 and you'll find your resource table right there. Furthermore, we have the trait with penetrating and alert. Penetrating pretty much says that it will pierce 1 armor point. So let's just say I have armor of 3, and it deals, what is it, 2, as you do 4 damage. Because this penetrating, this is always reduced by 1 point. If you start calculating this, 2 points will be reduced. The attack is reduced by 2 because I have 2 armor and 2 damage is still left. That is pretty much it. It is also alert. Alert means that this creature is so aware of its surroundings that we cannot surprise it. And if we take a look at the combat matrix right here, this entire section we can pretty much forget about. We cannot sneak up on this creature. So yeah, most definitely read those traits, try to implement them. One of the things you can do with your very first game is kind of ignore the traits and the level adaptation, for instance, just to focus on what's going up here and later introduce yourself to the traits. Perhaps you can play a dummy round to say, you know what, I'm going to play with only the straightforward combat skills, play with that, see how it works until I understand it, and I introduce 1 little thing each time, trying to focus on, I'm going to do combat skills, I'm going to fight this creature. Creature is dead, okay, we'll reverse everything. I'll do combat skills and now I'll do the magic resistance, see how that works. And just introduce 1 little rule for yourself each time you fight this creature. It helps a lot to understand the smaller, tiny bits of rules that are in the game. Just a little tip or a hint. Over here we have level adaptation. This is usually not seen as much in the game if you are not level 5. However, there are a few creatures that do alter. For instance, we have the Bloodstalker right here. It says here +1 health per character level. This is also the reason why I start a character at level 0. If we level up, then we go and level up to level 1. It changes quite a lot of the tables or the effects in the game. The game also doesn't tell if we start at level 0 or level 1. I usually assume we start counting at 0, so our character is level 0. We haven't leveled up, so we start at 0. That is pretty much it. At the bottom here we have the action table, and this is the enemy does an attack and it rolls a d6, and this d6 will tell us what kind of action it does. And we can already see from a glance, that it does physical, physical, and physical. So this is a very physical attacking creature. We can also see it does bludgeoning, entangled, piercing. I can see something with advantage, something with armor, something with piercing damage, 1d, 2d, 20 damage. This is quite a tough creature, for the exception that it is not able to hit us as much. So we'll see how that goes. Camera focus. Yes, better. How do we start combat and how do we go through this entire matrix? First of all, this monster is alert, so we can forget about the surprise component. The only thing we do is an initiative check, and the initiative check is rolled based on our perception against the monster's awareness. So let's roll that. I'm going to use red for the monster. I'll use my most favorite black and red dice right here. Oops. All right. That was a very close call right here. That's an interesting one for me to figure out right away. Because you need to roll lower than the skill to succeed. And of course, the enemy has 60 and we have a perception of 50. So their awareness against my perception. I rolled lower than my perception. They rolled lower than their awareness. So both succeed. If both succeed, you'll take a look at who is closest to their skill. I think that is the essential part of it. Yeah, the initiative and the surprise. When you are faced with an opponent and combat is clearly taking place, you must determine who gets to strike first. This is done by pitching your perception versus your target's awareness in an opposing check, known as an initiative check. And we have here with the opposed checks here, when a player is in direct competition with another character, an opposed check takes place to determine who is successful. This is usually required when you try to sneak up on an opponent, which this one is alert, so that doesn't count. Try to sneak up on an opponent at the beginning of combat with your character attempting a stealth check while your opponent rolls for awareness. Whichever side rolls higher than the other without going over their own skill wins the opposed check. If there is a tie of any kind with both parties failing their check, for example, the character with the highest relevant score is considered the victor, which right here I rolled 33 and he rolls 34. However, I rolled a 33, and this is an interesting start of the game. Hope you can. It's visible on camera. I rolled 33. This is a critical. If you roll below your skill and you roll 11, 22, 20, 33, 44, 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, those are the points you pay attention to. And if they are below your skill, so I have a perception of 50, so 44, 33, 22, and 11, then that is called a critical. If they are above my perception, so 55, 66, 77, 88, 99, that is a so-called fumble or a critical failure. So critical success when performing any check, if you roll doubles, that is the same number in both the tens and the ones, the result of your actions is exacerbated. If you roll doubles above the skill you tested, you have failed in the most spectacular way, something that can be especially dangerous while in combat. On the other hand, rolling doubles below your skill is considered a critical success, and the best of outcomes is to be expected. This is again a simple importance, a special importance during combat, as explained on page 72. And here we have something about the critical hits and the fumbles. I have not discovered anything about the initiative, but I assume from the fact that I rolled a critical on my perception check that I gain the initiative even though he is closer to his skill. That's what we figured out in the rules here. I'll go over it again. Why not? The character with the highest relevant skill score is considered the victor. So yeah, he's 1 point higher than me. However, I have a critical. So from the rules, because I rolled a critical, I say to the game, I succeeded this one with a critical. So I gain the initiative. If I rolled 32, then he would win the one. If I rolled 35 and he 34, then I would gain the initiative as well. So how do we then get into combat? Well, according to the sheet right here, we have a attacker, and the attacker always gains a +10 to their combat skill. And the combat skill that we're using, we have a bastard sword, so we're going to use a bladed weapon right here. So 65 + 10 is 75. We need to roll 75 on our D100. The rest, what we have is the weapon speed. Anything that's disabling as a two-handed effect is not... two weapons with a one-handed weapon. We're not using it at all. So this is nothing more than rolling a D100 and try to roll below the skill. The other thing which I roll along right away is a D20, which will determine where our hit is going to take place. And the other one that rolls a D6, which is, as we can see right here, on the damage table. And if I roll a 6, we'll add a damage modifier to it, so this becomes a 7. A 7 right here, and the die roll is a 2. This is something you need to remember, as any die rolled, be it a trap or any form of damage, it doesn't matter. It will always go into this table and it will have a result. This is our roll. The enemy will roll a D100. This is their defense roll. And their defense roll is pretty much the same as their combat skill, so they need to roll a 30 or lower to defend against our attack. And if it succeeds, it doesn't block our attack. Our attack still hits, if we hit, of course. But it rolls this D10, and if it succeeds, then we'll get a D10 roll on this defensive move right here, which can change combat significantly for their side. So let's just roll. Let's see what happens. So I need to roll 75. And this is a magnificent start. Over here, I rolled a beautiful 77, and of course the RNG gods had to had to oppose me, and I have to explain another rule. This is 77, and I have a skill of 75. Meaning that I just rolled above, but also I rolled doubles on it, meaning that I have a fumble. I have 75, I rolled higher than it, so I fail. I cannot attack this creature, so my attack on its body part is ignored. I'm not going to do it any damage, but also I rolled doubles, 77, which pretty much means that I fumble. A fumble is the opposite of a defense roll, pretty much. I roll on the D10 on this table. D10 is right here. A 5, it says here. You suddenly feel drained and lose 1 D8 ether. 6. Two. This is not a type of damage, by the way. Doesn't say that this is a type of damage. It's just literally 1d8 ether loss. It's not a damage type. Otherwise, I would have tossed that die through this table. So this is a pretty tough one, especially when you're a mage-like character. The enemy, so this was our roll. Yeah. How would I explain this in the fight? We approach each other, and maybe I still feel the pain from, or perhaps I still suffer. I'm still trying to find my bearings in this world, as I still have this story of me being hung on my mind, and yeah, I just don't feel great. I don't feel all that balanced. I pick up the weapon and like half drunken. I just don't feel all that great. And one of the things I'm going to do, this is a bit too dark on camera. I'm going to use blue from now on. Yeah, you can see that a whole lot better. The enemy is defending against our attack, and the defense is a D100 roll. It rolls an 8, so it succeeds in its defense roll. It needed to roll lower than 30, so it gets a D10 roll. On the defensive move table, it rolls a 1, and it says here, your next attack receives an additional plus 10. So he gets a plus 10 on its attack. This is our first turn in this round. Now we flip it around and we say, well, now I am the defender and he is the attacker. See what I'm doing here? I'm switching dice from I am now the attacker, now he is the attacker. If you cannot keep up with this in the game, or you find it is a little difficult, especially when you're trying to learn the game, maybe you can use something like a pawn, a token, or anything that tells you who is the attacker and switch between them so you have a visual representation of who that is. I tend to do this with die sets. So here we go. The attack. The combat skill 30 for this enemy. Because he is the attacker, he gains plus 10, but because of his previous movement, his defensive move, he also gains a d10. So it's not a combat skill 30, but it's actually 50. And this is interesting for how the game works. It really has these nice spikes of suddenly this creature is really strong, tough, fast, or has a great combat skill all of a sudden. And it was pretty bad, but right now it has a 50% chance of hitting us, and I don't like that. It rolls a 15, so this is most definitely a hit on its side, and it's attacking my 6, which, if you see right here, is our leg. We do not have any armor on our leg. We don't have any boots there, so we can ignore this one. And it rolled a 3. Razor bite physical. The cave-bound leech strikes with its razor-sharp teeth, attempting to pierce the target's flesh. It makes a melee attack, dealing 1d8 piercing damage on a hit. If the target is wearing armor, the cave-bound leech gains advantage on the attack roll due to its teeth ability to gnaw through sturdy protection. We don't wear any armor on that particular spot. If the target is wearing armor, the cavebound leech gains advantage on the attack roll due to its teeth ability to gnaw through the sturdy protection. This is kind of the vague-ish kind of description, I would say, in the sense that, yes, I do wear armor, but not on a spot where you're hitting me. So this is... I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say this creature is going to take his advantage, because I do wear armor, but it's a bit odd that it is gaining this because it is striking my leg and not my armor, my physical armor. So am I going to give it that advantage? Yes, I am going to give it the advantage here. So it does 1d8 piercing damage. Here's d8. Of course. So the d8 is forced through this table, and we can see an 8 deals 3 damage. That damage reduces our toughness first, so our 18 goes to 15. There we go. That is pretty much it. Let's see, what else do we have? that is pretty much it other than our defense roll. Our defense roll is equal to our bladed weapons, plus we are parrying with this weapon. You can see. We have a bladed weapon of 65 and our defensive is plus 10, so this is 75. And we roll 5, so we also get a defensive roll on this table. 10. Your next attack doesn't suffer the usual -30 modifier to your attack skill when targeting a specific body part. If it's a monster or NPC, they are obligated to attempt to target a weak spot. This is really great to explain on my next turn. I absolutely love this, that this is unscripted and you get almost every rule right away. So again, as you see, I am the attacker again, and the enemy is now the defender. What did this say? Perhaps you heard me in a previous video talk about the gore hoof that I attacked and that I pretty much destroyed its entire body. That is quite the rule in this game. Targeting body parts. There are 2 rules explained here. Number 1 is that you can say, well, I want to attack, but I want to target a specific body part to disable it. And if you disable the body part, the enemy will have -10 on the attack or combat skill. Since this is a serpentoid, it only has 2 major body parts, but if you destroy both of them, it's crippled and it will have a total of -20. So that's really interesting. However, if you do that, your attack skill is -30. The other rule that's explained here is we can target a specific body part for -30 on our combat skill, and then we immediately get a critical if that's a hit. So the example here, I want to target a body part. I say, for instance, I want to hit its body, I want to cripple it, and I have here 65, I'm the attacker, so it's 75, 75 -30 is 45. I need to roll 45, and I roll 61, so I failed it. Nevertheless, if I rolled 21, then I hit it, then I'll mark its body part, and then the next time this creature doesn't have a combat skill of 30, but it will have 20, meaning that it is not really, it is losing its combat skill due to that. Over here we have the other skill is that we target a body part specifically, and we say, well, I want to hit it's critical, it's a head, which the creature has as well, I think. Yes, serpentoid head. I want to target this exactly, and that means that our skill again gets the usual -30, as we talked about. We roll. If we succeed, then we get, instead of 1, we get 2d6 rolls. This is a critical roll right here. It doubles our dice, but it also doubles our damage modifier. So this becomes 2. It's added to the lowest value die, so this becomes a 6. So we deal a 6 and a 5, and a 6 and a 5 is right here, is a 2 and another 2, and that will, the monster will take that type of damage. That is pretty much it. It is an interesting rule and it is quite tricky to pull off. However, as the defensive part here says that -30 modifier isn't active right now, we can ignore it. So pretty much we have a 65 plus 10 because we are the attacker, and we can attack a body part. Now, since the creatures in this domain resist critical, I cannot do a critical, so I'm going to target a body part of his, and let's just say I'm going to target its head, which, yeah, it's at least it's going to be a very tough hit, and it will reduce its combat skill if I succeed. So wish me luck. The reason why I'm not rolling my d20 is because I'm targeting a specific body part, so I don't have to roll the d20. I roll 72, so on a margin I do succeed. The damage modifier is added to this, which is a 5, so this becomes 5. And another one is because I'm using a slashing weapon. I'm hitting its head. There's no armor on its head. So if we scroll all the way back to page 71, it says here slashing caused mainly by certain weapons or creatures such as armor or creature's claws, +1 damage when striking a body part with no armor. Its head doesn't have armor, so over here I'm going to write down +1 if 0 defense. +1 is added to our die, so this becomes a 6. 6 on a die roll table is 2 damage to this monster, and since I'm targeting its head, it doesn't have any armor there, so this is reduced by 2 health points. Another thing which is reduced in this creature is its attack value, of course, in the or its combat skill in the next round. That is pretty much my attack. It still gets a defense roll right here. It rolls 17, which is below its combat skill, which is 20 right now. So it just on a margin got it. A d10 roll for the defensive move. We're gonna look over here. You get a moment of respite after fending off your opponent's attack. Recover 2 toughness or 2 health in the case of an NPC or an opponent. Great. I absolutely love the little niches of this game that you're like dealing a super awesome attack and the enemy then recovers like, yeah, I did all of that for nothing. Thank you. Meaning, I'm at 30 minutes right now. I'll continue the fight in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host 2B, and I'll see you in the next